Okay, hi all. Today we're going to move on to number sequences, but we're going to see them in real life situations. So instead of just term 1, term 2, we're going to give those numbers some kind of real meaning. So in order to look at how that can be done, we're going to go through one of the questions in your book, and it's question 7 on page 313 in your book. So the question says, Peter has 10 euros in his money box today. He plans to save 2 euros every week. Copy and complete this table to represent this situation for the first 5 weeks. So the way the table is laid out, at week 0, this means before any time has passed, Peter has 10 euros in his money box. After 1 week has passed, he's got 12 euros because he's saving 2 euros every week. So the next week he's going to have 14, 16, 18, 20. So I'm just going to fill that in so that I can complete the table for a start. So 14, 16, 18, 20. And what's happening each week? He's getting 2 more euros into his money box. Okay, so that's the first part of that question. And then it says, what feature of this table tells you that the pattern is linear? So if we look at this and we write it out like a pattern, because it doesn't look exactly like the patterns that we've been dealing with, but somewhat like it. The actual numbers in the number sequence are 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So if we write that out over here, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Okay, well, we know that that pattern is linear because the first difference is constant. It's a common first difference. It's always 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 between it. Okay, so when we're talking about the table, what feature of the table tells you that the pattern is linear? Well, it's this constant or common difference every week of 2 euros. Okay. It says then to draw a graph to represent this situation for the first 5 weeks. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to draw a sort of a table like we drew when we were graphing stuff last night. So just a table, or oops, that's a poor table. Okay. And over here we had term and then we had value. But in this case, we don't have term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5. We have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. So I'm going to put week on top of my table. And this is my value, or it's my amount of money, I guess. Okay, so. And something different about this as well. Instead of starting at 1 like all of our sequences have so far, this is starting at week 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we never did a question involving a term 0, but I did mention that in some cases you will need to have a term 0, and we'll deal with that as we go along. So it says, draw a graph to represent this situation for the first 5 weeks. So I'm just going to pause for a second and draw the axes for this graph. Okay, so I've just drawn the axes there, and I've put the week on the bottom where we used to put the term, just like we said with the statistics graphs. Whatever was on top of here goes on the bottom in the graph. So the week over here, 0 to 5, and the money values here from up to 20 here. So next thing I'm going to do is, in order to draw it, well, we've already identified that it is it's a linear function or a linear pattern as we go along here, because it's got a constant first difference of 2. And so what I'm going to do is, rather than plot all of the points, I'm just going to plot the first point, which I'll call 0, 10, and I'm going to plot the last point, which is 5, 20, and then I'm just going to join the dots with a straight line. So the first point here is 0, 10, we said. So it's 0 weeks, so 0 across, and 10 up. So it's right here. And then my last point is 5, 20. So it's 5 across, or 5 weeks, and it's 20 up. And if I have my ruler, I'll try and do this to the best of my ability with one hand. So 20 is up here. So those are my 2 points, and I'm going to join the two of them now with the ruler. I'm just going to pause for a second to do that. So there we have it, that's the graph. And one thing I'd like to say is, in last night's homework, a lot of people were joining their graphs back to 0 or back to 0 down here, where they shouldn't have. Those graphs were going from 1 to 5. This one was going from 0 to 5, so it's okay for this to go all the way back and hit the, if you like, the kind of y-axis here, or the vertical axis.